Peace be with you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters from the motherland and from the diaspora. My name is Kiswensida
Judy.
and today we're having a wonderful time and to introducing a topic which is very interesting and very necessary to talk about to really help us elevate as a collective. Yeah.
Yeah, we have quite a lot of we have quite a number of topics to explore, but we decided on talking about you know this identification. How do you identify as African? Um, Especially in this era of globalization, we have to move with the times, right? We have to be conscious of the times we're in. As much as we say, "Oh, I'm African," now we have so many mixed people are mixing, falling in love, marrying inter I don't want to use the word interracial, but these are words that exist, right? So
Like you're talking about a lot of interference.
yeah.
I think we were saying like before, like sorry to cut you, but it was how as African like do we define ourselves beyond the blackness of our skin, beyond the broadness of our nose, beyond the broadness of our lips, or 4C coily hair that grows towards the sky, or for a women like the hips, like big like stereotypes and cliches aside, loving chicken, watermelon, all that. How can we authentically define ourselves as African? Because it's important. I mean, if you look at this world today, a reason why, I mean, there's countless reasons why this world is in bad shape, but one recurring um, issue that you see is tied to identity. A lot of people really don't know who they are, and they try to define themselves based like from a perspective that is sometimes, I won't say wrong, but not complete, very artificial. And we have minds. We can create whatever we think about. Our imagination is very powerful. The power of the mind is unparalleled. You can create whatever you want. So, like if you look at, what we're wearing, everything is come from the mind. Someone thought about it and created it. So, defining yourself as an individual, as a community is important, but it has to be from a high perspective, from a high sense of truth, not from a lower sense of no, not from a lower perspective, like feelings, because feelings are flaky. If I feel like, oh, I wanna do this, and I say this is my truth, I line that as my truth, that's not enough. But that's beside the point, that's something else. But to go back to us as African, like how can we authentically define ourselves culturally? What is that essence that is not found, for example, in Asia and the Western world, but it's African, and a higher sense of virtue. And there's also what we talked about before, like is when we're speaking English, is it a continuation of colonial dominance, right?
Yeah, not just English but French as well, because
Yeah.
many African countries were colonized by the British and the French. Like they have more people, like the population of French speaking African countries and English speaking African countries are more a lot higher than maybe Portuguese or the French
Oh
or the
yeah.
Spanish speaking. So now you can see what is happening in Burkina Faso,
Mm.
where Traore, the new the president,
The
he's
president of the transition.
yeah, so he's trying to like eradicate the speaking of French from it's a good move he's doing. It's I would say Burkina Faso will be experiencing a lot of growing pains at the moment, because when you have to detach from an old way of doing things. You don't know what the new way is, but you just know that this old way is no longer working, right? And we have to look for something else that is going to work for us as a collective, because
In our best interest,
in our
right?
best interest. And it's going to be shaky, it's going to be, uncomfortable, but it's very necessary. So now that, for example, we're having this podcast in English, that's all like the global language now.
But you're saying unfortunately, but it's not really our fault because we kind of grew up in this world, right? Where when we went at school, I mean, if for example, like they say that a man, and I say the man with a capital M, like it could also include women, we're a product of our society and the way the social mold grooms us. But it also take a valiant and courageous effort to groom to unlearn the things, the programs that you really don't resonate with, and add in the programs that you will use it to your advantage. For example, if we grew up, for example, in a school system where, for example, in my school, I can learn Yoruba, I can learn Igbo, I can learn Zulu, I can learn Shona, I can learn Ozi, Isiko, Koza, like these authentic native African language, then I will have been an individual as an African able to speak multiple African language, and be at the same time more able to relate with different African communities, and also able to also enrich and nourish my Africanity. And it's unfortunate that we really neglect the power of language. Language is not just language.
Oh
Right
no,
now we're wearing African attire.
I wouldn't say we neglected the power. We just were
Okay.
not given the opportunity to explore
Yeah.
the power
Yeah.
of language and how it binds people, you know. Because when there was this classification going on, Europeans said African languages are too complicated because we have too many, like, we
German
have
is complicated as fuck.
no, but it's one language, right? That
Yeah.
binds the whole Germans,
Yeah.
and then they have dialects.
Yeah.
But you cannot like do that when you're doing that. We can't even be using comparisons anymore. We can't be saying if America is like this, then Africa should be the same standard or metrics for measuring people and things. This is what has ruined us as Africans because
And the thing is, the worst is like when you're doing it from yourself. Like if you're comparing yourself with other people in order to give a barometer of where you at, like as a progress, like that already is an injustice.
yeah,
You should not compare yourself to anybody. Like everybody should be on your lane. Like you be on your lane. It's almost like kind of like a race, right? There's lanes. When you're running, you should not be looking around your competition, because doing so while running, you might trip and fall. Like it's okay to look like maybe from your peripheral view, but not literally turning your head while running. What are you doing? You're looking very very foolish. So the thing is, we have to focus on our lane and focusing our energy and seeing like what works for us. It's about us improving on ourselves, like us not repeating past mistake that our forefathers and foremothers did, but improving,
and I would say in this era of globalization, that's a bit of a challenge for us because look at us, we are here in Germany, right?
yeah.
Doing this podcast in Germany.
Beautiful weather, by the way.
Yeah, and we have beautiful weather also back at home, but we are here. And it's not like it's a bad thing for you to migrate and travel and explore and want to experience or encounter different cultures or different things, but the uncertainty at home, the unease at home has made a lot of people um desire, like, if you don't leave home, by all means, or you don't even know where home is anymore. Anyways, one would say home is a feeling. Home is where you feel safe, right? So the whole insecurity and the unsafety and all of the drama happening back in Africa is not making us as Africans even identify with home anymore. We can't even say this is where home is. You get, so it's a bit of it's a lot of unfortunate situations, as in when we dissect it, because I know that when I have conversations with people and we talk about things and they're like, oh, but why are you not back in Africa? Why are you telling me these things and you are there? let me also come join you there, and then we can have these conversations. If you want to talk, if you want to have conversations with me, come sit here at home and let's talk. And it makes it seem like, oh, I'm a hypocrite, right? Like I'm
Yeah.
hypocritical because I am supposedly in a better place, and then I am now telling people that are not yet in that place, and I am to cope, to keep hoping, to keep waiting, just like the religion, has made you like believe in hope, in heaven, the promise of heaven and all. Like while you're suffering,
Yeah.
there's one
So far for a while.
there's one paradise for you. So it makes you so comfortable in hell, like in the suffering, that you don't even think of saying, oh, you know what, I'm not supposed to be rooted here. This is not where I'm supposed to be. I can move, right?
Hmm.
You know. So it complicates the situation for us as Africans, because um we found ourselves in situations where that were beyond our control.
Hmm.
It's I would say, I keep saying that we Africans don't realize that while the First World War was going on and the Second World War was going on, we thought that we were not at war because we did not create nuclear weapons and attack other people. It was war all like that. That's why it's called World War.
Actually, it was a European war, but because
It
of,
wasn't just European war.
yeah, I mean, of course, like there's I mean, I get what you're saying, like in the sense that African also were
We
uh,
participated
were
in it
part.
one way or the other. We had they had African mercenaries
Yeah.
were sent to the
Yeah,
battlefront,
there
whether
was the
willingly or unwillingly, to fight
there
for the
were yeah,
Europeans.
there were African, how do you call it, recruits,
Yes,
especially from French, from the French, and these African recruits were forced to join as supporter for the French army,
we didn't. Did we
and
have a
they
choice?
didn't have
No.
a choice. And even like Sankara, I think Sankara father also was one of them, and he participated in World War II. And he, like, I forgot, but his Sakara father was also a recruit. But the thing is, I get what you're saying. The thing is also, when it comes to globalization, the thing that I find important to mention is like the world now is like a small village. You cannot pretend like, oh, I'm gonna be in my own bubble, and I'm just gonna do me. As African, we cannot do that.
It's a little too late for
We
that.
have to take into consideration the global sphere, like every other nation, and the movement of things.
Because what is happening outside is definitely going to affect you directly or
Exactly,
indirectly,
exactly.
whether you like it or not. Even if you're in your little village, in your little corner, and you claim to be oblivious to whatever is happening in the world, it will affect you, because like Africa, in every European or Western country, Africa, you will find Africans everywhere, scattered all over the place. You have you already we all have people that are abroad in the diaspora,
Yeah.
so you can't even claim to like be ignorant and say, you know what, I don't care, whatever is
I mean,
happening.
the thing is, like, internet is there, knowledge is accessible, and with that in mind, there's also some propaganda too. So I think what we have to, spread here as a message is that if you're someone who wants to know more about, let's say, Africa, or reconnect yourself with African history, like, you can do your research on your own, but at the same time you have to go there with a discernment.
Of
You have to
course.
discern
Which is which,
which
what
is
is.
which, what is
Yeah,
propaganda and what is
yeah,
more
because there are many
authentic.
rabbit holes.
Yeah, and
And
for example, I'm gonna share a interesting anecdote which happened 2 days ago. I had conversation with refugees in a refugee camp here in Germany, like Syrians, and we had an interesting conversation. They're like, although they have life scenario worthy of a movie, they are always smiling, and that's the thing I really like. It's really like fascinating. Like, you see, for example, in this country and the city, most people frown their face, they don't laugh.
hmm,
You trying to say hi, it's like, it seems like you're bursting their bubble, but yet you have people that went through you know loopholes and did a lot of
hell and high
Yeah,
waters
to
to.
just be in this country,
Mm,
and yet they're still smiling and they still have light in
mm,
their eyes.
mm,
So, they see me, I'm a black guy, and I
mm.
see them. And, we communicate, and there. We had a friend as an intermediary translating for us to understand.
Okay.
And he asked me, "Where are you from?" And I told him, I mean, the audience know where I'm from. And then he's like, "Okay, how is it in your country?" And like they asked me first, "Is there war?" And I told them there's no war as you know, as you define war.
Mm,
Then, because they have smartphone, they show me a TikTok video of a black child, like these muddy water, puddle water,
mm,
like drinking water,
mm,
drinking
mm,
from that. And they asked me, "Is it like that in Burkina Faso?" I'm like, "No." And then, like, because we were also in front of a house, they touched the wall of the house, and they told me, "Do they have this in Burkina Faso, like a house?"
wow.
And I told them, "Yes, we do, we do." So first you want to know from me, right? Which is normal, but you start with negative cliches, and then they also ask me, like in Burkina Faso, like, do you what do you pray? What religion do you pray? And I said, "Oh, I mean, there's Islam, there's Christianity, and there's also African spirituality, what they call quote unquote animism." And
These
then,
are all labels, anyways.
yeah,
But continue.
and but the thing that really struck a nerve is, like, I heard, like, in like in Africa, not even in a country, in the whole continent, you pray the devil. Like in Arabic, devil is mean shaitan.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took his TikTok and he, like, when you do research on the audio,
Mm-hmm.
like, is this blah 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 blah. He said, like, an Africa shaitan. And then, like, my face changed, and he was with his friends,
Mm-hmm.
and then he realized that my face frowned, and then he said, "Lord, no, 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 no. I don't mean like it's true. I meant to ask." But here's the thing: people, like, this is in the realm of emotional intelligence and emotional maturity.
Mm.
If you want to know something from someone,
Mm.
I believe everybody is welcome to share any information, because that's come also as a form of flattery. Everybody like to speak about themselves. But if I approach you and I basically ask you, no, I basically assume negative cliche that I heard from you,
Mm.
what do you think that I will do as a reaction?
I wouldn't blame that person, because this is what the media has done. Funny enough, I was also having a conversation with a friend from back home 2 days ago, and then we were talking about just talking about what is happening back at home, and how I'm coping here and all of that. And then we talked about this same thing, the media, how they've portrayed Africa on the media as the country where there are poor children, where they like they have what's this called, polio and all of this malnutrition, and to garner to the sympathy or to the emotions of people to contribute to donate money towards Africa, and these countries that they were showing or they've been showing, these are war reading countries. And then who started these wars? Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about the reasons why these children are this way. So I was saying that as much as we have, the same way I would say we have Africans that are also, conscious of what is happening around them, and then the ones that choose to be ignorant. We also have, Western people or Europeans that are also conscious of what is happening, and then the ones that choose to be ignorant. Because I've had several instances. I remember a long time ago where a girl from Turkey, at one time when I was going to a German school, and then she was always surprised that I would come to class looking well dressed, and I was going to a private German school. So she couldn't. Then it was a long time ago. So I was like the only black person in the German school. So she couldn't relate with that in her mind, because what has been shown to her about Africa is all poverty and hunger stricken, hunger ridden people. So she was just, she had this
Dissonance.
yeah, yeah, with towards me. I didn't even know, because I wasn't trying to be her friend. So one time we're all in class having conversations, and then she asked the question that I'm sure it has been burning in her chest all this while. And then she was like, "Oh, she thought that in Africa, you know all the people are poor, and then the houses are muddy. Like the way, like what she has seen in the media, she thought that was what Africa was about. I was like, oh my gosh, that you must be living under a rock. You must be so ignorant for you to even assume that everything you see on the TV is real. Because you need to visit Lagos. You would be shocked. You would be like, what? Like, is this Africa? Even that, all those architectures you see that is like that reflects Western architecture. This is not Africa, as a matter of fact, because now we are suffering from the consequences of that. That we have heat waves, and then you can't breathe properly because the architecture, everything is modeling European Western
And
standard
people and people are dying from that.
that was built for cold weathers like this.
Like people are like the thing also. I want to add on. Like I want to piggyback on what you say. Like the last thing you said, right, about how this is not Africa, like the architecture that is mainstream in our countries. People are dying from that, as you said, and from the heat waves. Like people cannot even breathe well in their houses. Like they need like the AC.
Mhm.
And how many people can afford AC?
Do we even have constant electricity?
Like and
Let's be realistic.
like in Ouagadougou, I mean, shit. Like even if you use the fan and you're sleeping at night,
It's
you're
going
still sweating.
Yes.
So you need an AC. How many people can afford an AC? And the heat, and right now with climate change, it's getting hotter and hotter. How many? So we really need to like reframe like how we're doing things, not just doing things because we're doing things, but it has to have a powerful conscious intent. It's good to build a house, but don't just build a house to build a house. Have a purpose in it. That's the thing that is killing us. We're doing like we're acting like automats, like bots.
Like robots, man. Like, especially now that there's AI. Remember, I don't even know if you remember this conversation that trended some weeks back on Twitter, where one guy was talking about the word delve. Like, I don't know if you know.
No.
Okay, so he was trying to say that using words like big grammar, like delve and stuff, that it doesn't make you sound intelligent. It just means that you're trying to use big words. As much as I understand where that is coming from, you shouldn't try to like use big grammar to sound smart, to sound, because English is not your mother tongue. Like, you should use relatable words that everybody understands. But how can you assume that a word like delve is an AI word? And so he said that someone wrote him. Let me give you the context. Someone wrote him an email,
Okay.
and then immediately he saw the email. He could tell that it was ChatGPT that
Okay.
generated the email because of the word delve. And the whole internet, like Twitter, was like, the whole internet went bonkers. Like, what the hell? Why would you say delve sounds like a ChatGPT word? Like, what is so special about the word delve? And then a lot of people were like, coming to give you know different instances. I was like, these are words that were used when I was growing up, secondary school, back in high school, and then the teacher was, oh, let's delve into today's topic. And then it also made me remember something similar happening sometime in February. And then my one of my supervisors was talking about how he was reading someone's text, and then he saw delve, and then he felt like the person used chat GPT. And I was like, no, I use delve a lot. I use delve all the time. And then fast forward to 2 months afterwards, this same word is trending online for being
Hmm.
an AI generated word.
So
So
people don't think that it's an English word or something.
it's an English word, but why would you be using it? Because it's not an everyday word. So whose
Uh,
standard are we even using to measure education anymore? So it just shows you that the world we are currently living in is, we know that the world is in shambles, right? But we don't even know where we are heading to anymore. Imagine you assuming that someone using the word delve is a chat GPT generated word. So what if the person uses more complicated words than that, and this is just the way the person thinks? You just assume it's AI.
you know what I want to add to that? What I want to add is that I feel like in the world we're living in, with the technology, everybody having smartphone being affordable to everybody, internet being affordable to, I mean, city people, metropolitan cities, and now with the usage of AI generated tools, I feel like most people in this day and age because of all of that, are less susceptible to do their own research and to check the benefit of the doubt. Because before all that nonsense, if you wanted to have access to knowledge, you had to read books,
Of course.
encyclopedia. You have to
Dictionaries.
participate in debates and stuff
Yes.
like that. But now, from the darkness of my 14 square meter room, I take my phone. I have access to the world, and now I think I know everything.
Mm.
And I swallow some contents. I eat some contents, and now this is my opinion.
Mm.
And I don't like my. This is my opinion. It's right. I'm self-righteous. I don't give myself a benefit of the doubt.
Mm.
And for me, this is where what I see in a lot of people. A lot of people are mostly in the trajectory of having opinions and not putting these opinions into question from whichever source they took. They don't even do the homework of checking the information.
Even doing the homework. You remember the guy?
You have to
You remember
check.
the guy from Syria you talked about, where
Yeah,
he was asking the internet because they
exactly.
made you believe that
Because
everything,
now
all the
internet.
answers
Yeah.
lies online. And any little thing they say, go do your research. Go do your research. But where? Not everything on the internet is accurate. You cannot find all of the answers on Google or on Wikipedia. I'm not trying to mention names or even talk bad about any platform or whatsoever. But for someone who is in academia as a scholar, when I am doing my research, I also use my discernment. I go to scholarly websites like where
Discernment is key.
people have written papers, journals, articles, and books, and I don't even take everything that is written there. Like I don't just swallow everything. I also like, okay, does this make sense? And this is what education is supposed to be. Being educated is not you taking in everything that someone else has articulated from their own experience about the world. It's about you. Okay. Oh, so this is your experience. Oh, wow. Sounds nice. Well, how about go experience my own, but use yours as reference?
Mm.
That is what education is supposed to be, as far as I am concerned. But unfortunately, the average African, I don't even want to say the average person. Let me just use it from the African context.
Mm.
Our education system is is so dependent on other people's knowledge, other people's personal experiences. And this is what we've used to shape so many things, our worldview, and then we come out boldly saying you're right about this, and you have opinions now. You can talk, and many people even have PhDs, and then they brag about all of that, but it's just you regurgitating what someone else has worked on without okay, what is your how have you been able to translate or to transform that knowledge, that thing you read, and now add your own, and then make it something worthy of sharing to other people, that the next generations will also say, oh, okay, this is where this person stopped, right? This is what happened during this person's time. This is how this person viewed the world at that time. So how about I now, okay, continue from there.
Mm-hmm.
Not now taking what that person said as the rigid, the ultimate thing, and then just sticking to that without moving with the times, which is weird. I think this is one of the fundamental ways, or one of the ways in which we can begin to reshape our thoughts. The moment we start telling ourselves the truth that, you know what, especially our education system, the way we've been taught to take everything someone else has worked on, someone else has researched on as the ultimate truth, and then also now with the era of the internet, once you just go to Google and it tells you this is this, and you just say yes, according to Google, this is this is that, and you don't do your own personal diggings, findings.
It's not only something in Africa, like an African um
Society.
society, also here.
Mm.
Like I have a friend of mine, like she told me like she studied philosophy here, and she said that her professor, like she said that European philosophy is racist. Like if you look at philosophy like Hegel, or I think it's Kant as well, saying that Africa is a dark continent, unable to produce knowledge and content of intellectual level. And she said it's racist. She said that to a professor,
Okay.
and her professor was like, "How dare you put Eagle into question?"
Wow.
So this is the thing. It's not only African education problem, it's also a European education problem, and which I don't blame them because that's their worldview. But let's not imitate their worldview and our worldview. Let's be radical about that. Like, I appreciate the world, I appreciate your worldview, but I'm not gonna tear my critical thinking apart and then substitute that with your worldview. That's the crime.
Copy and paste everything exactly verbatim,
And this,
exactly as it
and
is in
this
your
is the
world,
thing,
and
yeah.
paste it in my world, and now expect the same results. So when the results, when I'm not getting the results that you are getting, then I start getting angry and saying, "Oh, why is it not working for me?" Because it wasn't designed to work in your world. It wasn't designed to work everywhere. This universality that we have so embraced. As much as everything has pros and cons, this is where we have social scientists, people that question things. Okay, like, why is this the natural science, the humanities? We question things because you cannot go with everything like theoretically, like science. Like, yeah, science is good. It's what is science? The study of knowledge, right? To understand the world, to understand why things are this way. But I don't know where they missed it, where things went wrong, and then we removed the humanity from things. Yes, we have this tendency to also want to dominate and want to do crazy. We are not pure. Humans are not pure. What people would say, like,
Of
it's
course,
human nature to do this, that. Yes,
there's positive and there's negative.
yes.
Just like
So,
from a molecular perspective, there's protons, positive, there's neutron, and there's electron.
yeah.
So this world cannot be too negative, this world cannot be too good. If this world was too good, it would not happen. It would, like, life would have not been possible. If this world was too negative, this world also would have not been possible. You need both to
To
balance.
balance it.
Like, just like two electrons of the same charge push themselves, also too much positivity is also, it's not making existence possible. You need balance.
Yeah.
But right now what we're doing, we're criticizing, we're putting our finger what is wrong in our societies and a lot of our African societies, and we have to man up about that. How can we keep living like that? Really, like,
It's pathetic.
mediocre.
We cannot continue this way, and this is one of the reasons we started Afri Vibes and Afriflow and this podcast. To help each other, to brainstorm, because let's be realistic, we are in foreign lands. As much as it looks like we are in a better place, this doesn't feel like home. So these kind of conversations help us to connect, to know that I see you, I understand you. Yes, I know that this is not home. We can't go back to where we're coming from right now because where we're going back to is not safe. And here as well, we don't feel like home here. So what next? What to do? How do you survive? How do you cope with all of this uncertainties?
I think that is, like, we can expand on that on another episode for
Well,
sure.
we'll see. There's so many things to expand on, but when we have this kind of sessions, it brings about so many things come up. It brings up so many thoughts, which is what this whole thing was meant to be about anyways. And then it's not like we have the answers. It just helps us to put our thoughts out there and to share it with you guys, so you guys can also
And ladies,
yeah, yeah, ladies. And that word guys, it's like it's gender neutral anyways.
okay.
So, like, to share with you people, to help, to also help us and help each other to see, okay, this is the reality. Outside of what, of course, outside of what is happening on the media, there's so many things happening that we don't know behind the scenes. We're going to be done with this, and then we'll continue with our day-to-day lives, and we don't even know what is going to happen tomorrow, even if you plan it out. But I digress now. The point is that we are living in a globalized world where it feels like we are connected to the rest of the world from our phones, from our televisions, and all of our computers and all of that. But also at the same time, we are so disconnected at the same time. We're so disconnected from ourselves, from our core. And then remember we're talking about like the Ubuntu consciousness. That how come we Africans don't have that Ubuntu consciousness that binds us, and no matter where we are, we come and say, okay, this is the Ubuntu consciousness that wherever you are, anywhere you are in the world, once you see an African, or once when you're working with an African, that Ubuntu consciousness is there. You're like, oh, my brother, my sister. Because the truth is that people do not see us the way we see ourselves as Yoruba, Igbo, um, from Burkina, from from Cameroon,
From Sierra
from Sierra
Leone.
Leone,
Yeah.
from Nigeria, from Senegal, or from Kenya, South Africa. We are seen as one. Like Africa used to be seen as a country
Mm,
until people started, like intellectuals started coming out. So Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent. It's a whole continent on its own. Like you cannot even finish exploring it in your lifetime. You know, we are being like hot, like joined together and put together, classified together as one people,
like
one race.
homogeneous, right?
Yeah, it's good. It has its good side, right? If only we saw ourselves as one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, but we don't see ourselves as that one that other people see us as. We see ourselves as divided, as to identifying as I am this, I am that. And now that we are even in a world where everybody is free to identify as whatever, some people can identify as dogs now. Some people can, anybody can identify as anything now, and you're like, okay, is that what you identify as now? Okay, whatever rocks your boat, man. And we as Africans, what do we identify as, aside from the color of your skin, aside from wearing the African attire,
Yeah, Faso Danfani.
or speaking, this is batik, by the way, or speaking whatever language, African language that you can speak. What else do you identify as?
To add on to that, it has to, like, meaning and substance has to be there, because there's some people, they they do that. They fit these boxes. Okay, African attire, check. Speaking African language, check. Um, being in Africa, check, 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 check. But still, there's something missing. It's similar to these people that do humanitarian act, and they do selfies with the people they give their money or help. It's not real. There's something missing.
Mhm.
And for me to fill that void, um, it's you have like the goal has to be for positive betterment. You really you like from a place of the heart,
Mm.
you sincerely want a community to grow,
Mm.
to live under better condition,
Mm.
while still retaining
Your authenticity.
your authenticity. Like, for example, in this world, you talk a lot about globalization, right? There's this situation where you're between a rock and a hard place. Should I just hold on tight to the past and that's it, or should I embrace modernity
Mm.
and the way this world, like how a human in the 21st century is supposed to be?
Mm.
Should I embrace all that?
Mm.
Because also, if you do that, there's the risk of losing yourself. So it has to be a creative blend between both. It has to be a blend in the sense that you know who you are, you honor who your forefathers were, you know the ABCs about your culture and your tradition, but at the same time you don't put yourself in an island around it, and at the same time you embrace um the things, like the techniques of this world, that can be used to empower yourself. I think that is where, like, we should go, and the direction we should go. And to define ourselves as black people, African people, it's not just through acts. Like, it has to be solid, concrete. And we have to start in our education. We talk about education from the age that we go to school. We have to know our genealogy. even
Because,
and even in
sorry
our
to break
media.
you, if the
Okay.
only knowledge you have about your ancestors, because that's what people talk about these days, like our ancestors were these, they were weak, they sold us to slavery and all of that. Like we've heard, like let's be realistic. Are you not tired of hearing that thing? This is what has been like um
Regurgitated.
regurgitated, programmed into you to regurgitate, and you've been saying the same thing. So you want to tell me that you don't have, there are no good things that your ancestors did? No, before colonization or all the civilization happened, your ancestors were nobody. They didn't exist. They were not eating. They were not surviving. They were nobody. So civilization came and did all of these good things. So you cannot even pick pinpoint or pick one or two things that you can be grateful to your ancestors for. That I'm grateful that this is I'm proud of this. Whereas you can be proud of foreign ancestors, even though they did terrible things. You defend them with your life with so much vehemence, like and passion. But they did crazy things as well to get to this place that they are, that you are aspiring to get to. So this cognitive dissonance is something that I see a lot in the African society amongst the youths especially, and it's sad to see because you're still a youth, you're still young, you can still create, you can still use this fresh, beautiful mind that you were given to do beautiful things, to innovate new things. But instead, you're talking about how your ancestors told you to slavery, these same stories that has been told to you, and you don't even question them. That okay, come on, why, even if they did, why did they do it? What happened? What made them do that?
We definitely not need to accept things at just point face value. There's a lot of like self research that we have to do. Like in order to have self wealth, self research is very important. It's key. Like the
Yeah.
more research, the more knowledge we uncover about ourselves, the more we can be sure of attaining like high level of wealth. Because knowledge is wealth.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not power.
especially self knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know yourself
Mm-hmm.
from like the core of who you are
Mm-hmm.
as an individual, as a person, like your whole demeanor change, the way you walk, the way you talk, the tone of your voice, the way your chest is up and the way your shoulders are back, the way you barely put your head down, you always put your head straight, the way you always know where to go, what to do, you don't seem confused. It's an energy.
Mm.
And I notice as an African, when you embody this energy, white people tremble, white people are scared.
Why are they scared? If everybody is true to who their authenticity, everybody should just
It's a
stand
for me
stand in their sovereignty. Why are you scared?
it's a fragility. It's a fragility. I mean, this fragility can be dissected like for a long period of
I don't even
time.
want to go into that.
But
I don't even
I
want to go
mean,
into
if
that
you're
right
that
now.
powerful, high, and mighty, why are you? What do you feel
Why do you feel
insecure?
threatened by someone else's authenticity?
Yeah,
You know.
walking in his or her I am.
Yes, like this is who I am. And then why are you afraid when I tell you this is who I am? What about you? Who are you? Tell me who you are. I'm telling you who I am. I'm not threatening you, but this is me. So we need to come to that place of self determination, self the authenticity, this sovereignty of self,
Yeah,
and not this is not the self that has been taught to you in books. you know it is your own personal journey to identify, to know who you are in the world. Because if you do not, especially in this world that we are in, things are moving so fast. If you do not know who you are, you will just find yourself dangling like this. Everybody is identifying as this. You just want to be moving with everybody. Okay, is this where the world is going to now? Okay, let me to join them. And
like
then,
people will be pulling the strings and thinking for you instead of you.
yeah, so you have no choice. You have no option. This is survival. This is the only way we can. This is my own personal philosophy, and that's how I've been able to navigate. I'm navigating my world. I'm not even there yet, but this is how I've been able to not be depressed by so many things happening. Because when you turn on the news, like you watch so many shit, and then you're like, what the hell is going on? And then you just turn it off. Because if you let it get to you, if you don't understand,
It will lower your
you will
energy.
just be like, oh, like, so you don't need all of that. There's so many negativity happening out there. It's a lot to go around. So the only option that you have to survive in this world and in the world to come, is for you to know who you are, be true to your sovereignty, your authenticity, and stand firm in that. And
Yeah,
from there, you will be able to contribute to the world
yeah,
from that place of, from that true, from your core, that will resonate for generations. These kind of people will talk about that they did this, they did that. We're talking about them years after they're gone. Like, I also want to be like one of those people where people will talk about what I did even after I'm gone. Like, that's what I live for. I don't care for all those shitty material things that we are all striving for. I mean, luxury is good, but that's not why I came here. So then the only way for you to do that is when you know why you are here. This is not a religious knowing why you are here thing. It's an identity thing. So I don't know if you have any other thing to add, because I think I'm done here now.
no, this is like way of life that I fully agree in. And yeah, I mean, this is really like something urgent that us as African, especially we're talking to the African youth.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're somewhere between, let's say, as a teenager until your early 20s, in your 20s, you really need to absorb this information and try to put it in application. Don't live a waste life where you're just walking by, you grow, you hang out, you die, and there's nothing that is retained from your experience, you know? Because the thing is, what few people think about is death. We're gonna die. And
That's a debt we all
when
owe
we're
that
gonna
debt.
die, it's not about, how much money you used to give to people that people are gonna remember. It's not about your birthday parties. People are gonna remember how you made them feel.
Mm.
So when and in this life, we're all navigating in this life. And for me, you really have to, as like our youth, we really need to contact the elders, go back to the elders, and make them speak out, pardon me, their experience, so they can enlighten us, so we can do better than them. We really, that's urgent. We should not underestimate our elders. Like Amadou Ampatiba said, old man in Africa that dies is like a library that burns. We need to go back to our library, to our archives, and nourish our mind from their experience so we can do better. Like, for me, that's where our authenticity should start. We should not um, go to, you know, information that is tainted with perception negative of us. You know, for example, philosophy. A lot of people view philosophy just like under, like, in a Western way,
Of course,
but they cannot even name philosophy of their countries,
from Africa.
or from Africa. And this is a shame. Like, we should not define our world or perception based on this current pop culture. You have to, if you do that, you're not like, you don't have no foundation. So it's a urge to find your foundation. And it's a journey, it's something that is ever going, but at least we have to take the first step towards this journey. And
Yeah, and if you cannot find too many African philosophers, as much as the Western philosophers, I would say maybe that's a calling for you to become a philosopher yourself,
exactly,
so that we can also, like, in the next 50, 100 years, generations to come would
there was
also,
that
yeah, they'll say,
person.
oh, this is an African philosopher that said this and that, and he lived this way, he lived that way, and this is this profound thing he said that helped me. So because it doesn't exist doesn't mean it cannot be created. And because of the marginalization of the African continent, and because the struggles that we've been going through, people, if someone is struggling, they won't even think of writing down philosophies and quotes and all of that. But now things are beginning to change, and you can become that thing that you wish to see existed, which is one of the most profound ways to live anyway. And that's what that's my final contribution for today. And I hope we hope to do this again soon, share our thoughts with you, and then yeah, I'm done.
All right.
Cut. Peace be with
Peace.
you guys.